So let's talk about why your mix sucks. I've been running a studio for over 10 years and I've learned a few things along the way. So hopefully the stuff I'm about to tell you can save you a few hours of pain and make your lives a little bit easier. So if you've been at the recording game for a little while, you might know a bunch of this stuff, but stick around because there might be some gems in here for you as well. Okay, so let's talk about why your mix sucks. Let's talk about your drums. They're out of phase. Did you flip the phase on the snare bottom? Have you checked the overheads? Are they in phase with the close mics? Did you check that the kick was in phase with the room mics? Are the room mics cancelling the low end in your kick? These are all things you need to consider with drums, and phase and drums is so important. So if you don't understand phase, go learn about phase.
Is that your snare sound? Have you heard a snare before?
Do you know how to tune? Is that duct tape? Bass guitar. You've got a mic on the cab. You've got a line out of the head. You're taking a DI. You might have a Sans amp or something in there as well. Are all of these things in phase? You need to check this and you need to make sure that they are. Otherwise your bass is going to have holes in it and phase cancellation. Let's talk about your bass tone. You want a bright, punchy, aggressive bass sound, but you're playing with your fingers. Pick up a pick. You want a round, smooth, warm bass sound, but you're playing with a pick. Use your fingers. It may sound simple, but people get stuck in their ways and you need to adapt for the tone. Okay, so you've started tracking an acoustic guitar. You may not have done this much before. Your first thoughts are, let's put a mic near the sound hole. Wrong. Never put a mic near the sound hole. Well, maybe not never, but be cautious. The sound hole is boomy as. So go watch a video on some nice acoustic guitar mic placements because there's way better options out there. Are you blending a DI with the mic sound? Have you checked that the DI is in phase with the mic? You're doing a stereo mic placement on the acoustic guitar. Have you checked that they're in phase? Never underestimate phase. Are your mics too close together? Have you tried XY? Have you tried a space pair? Make sure you're using a technique that sounds good and correlates well when it comes to phase. The acoustic tone. Do you want a bright, crisp, clear, clean acoustic guitar sound? Play with a pick. Do you want a warm, organic, earthy kind of sound? Play with your fingers. You need to make these choices while you're tracking to get the best results in your mix. Because if you decide that you want a pick sound later, you're gonna have a lot of trouble trying to make fingers sound like a pick. Electric guitar. Is it in tune? You've got two mics on the amp. Awesome. They look pretty good. Did you check them post to make sure that they're actually in phase? A lot of the time the capsules don't line up exactly how they look. Are you tracking with a DI before the amp? Always do this. Have you tuned your guitar? Tune it again. Are you playing through a vintage 1x12 combo, but you want it to sound like a stadium stack? Make sure you use the right amps and the right guitars to get the tone you want. Don't try and fix this in the mix later because it never, ever works. Tune it again. Let's talk about keys. So you're using MIDI. They sound fake as. This is not the MIDI's fault. It's that you're using a cheap MIDI controller that has no expression or feel because of those bouncy keys. And once you're done tracking, you just change everything to the same velocity and it loses all of its feel. If you can, get weighted keys and get some actual expression in the playing. There's so much more authenticity to it and you can actually make your MIDI sound good. If you can't afford to spend money on a weighted MIDI controller, make sure you use some humanization when you do your MIDI velocities. Vocals. Let's talk about why your vocals suck. You're singing too quietly and there's too much self-noise coming from the mic. You're singing too loud and you're clipping the capsule. You're too close to the mic. There's way too much proximity effect. You're too far away from the mic. There's way too much room in the sound. I haven't done this one personally, but your mic's facing the wrong way. You're actually singing into the back of it. Did you do a test run through the song to check the levels? You're clipping the mic pre when you hit the chorus. Have you considered auto-tune? Are you EQing the effects that you're putting on your vocals? Take out that muddiness in the reverb. Clean up that low and high end. Are you overdoing it with the effects? Do you need all that reverb? Do you need all that reverb?
Do you need all that reverb?
Now, I'm just having a bit of fun, but these are all things that should be on a checklist or at least running through your mind when you're in the recording stage to make sure that all your tracks are coming through really nice and ready to be mixed. Because if you're tracking things with all these problems, all you end up doing is trying to fix it in the mix, and fixing it in the mix is just not the way to go. You should be trying to get everything right at the source. And that is what's going to make your mixing so much easier and sound so much better. If there's anything else that you want to add to this, drop it in a comment below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.